Missed chances, big mistakes, and an offense that just couldn't get going. This game was more than just a loss for the Chargers. It was a wake-up call. What went wrong? What did Jim Harbaugh say about the team? And most importantly, what big changes are on the way? Let's break it all down. What's up, buddies? Welcome back. If you are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We cover all AFC West news here on this channel. So, was this a case of the Chargers not being ready for the big moment? Maybe. They came out with a decent game plan, stopped the Texans early, and even had 2 prime scoring opportunities. But here's the problem. They didn't take advantage of them. Looking at the stats, the imbalance becomes obvious. Ladd McConkey had an incredible performance. 9 catches, 197 yards, and a touchdown. But after him, no one else had more than 2 catches for 16 yards. That's a huge issue. And then there's Justin Herbert. This game will go down as one of his worst performances, and unfortunately, it feeds into the narrative that he can't step up in high-pressure situations. Is that fair? Maybe not, but that's the reality when you're the quarterback. Stick around because we are going to dive deeper into the Chargers' struggles in the running game and how the Texans' defense dominated from start to finish. The Texans may have started this game slow, but they never stopped coming. Defensively, both teams looked tough early on, but the Texans found their rhythm and kept it going. The Chargers? They didn't. The turning point for me? It was Justin Herbert's first interception. The Chargers had just forced a turnover from the Texans and were right on the edge of scoring range. A few more yards and they're kicking a field goal, or even better, finding the end zone. Instead, Herbert forces a pass across his body to Quentin Johnston, a jump ball that really doesn't suit Johnston's style. It's picked off, and just like that, instead of a 10-0 or 13-0 game, the momentum completely shifts. Then there's the end of the first half. The Chargers defense allowed 10 points in the last 58 seconds. Think about that. What should have been a 4-point game going into halftime felt more like a 40-point deficit. That's how much the energy shifted. When a team works hard defensively to create turnovers and the offense only puts up 6 points, it's deflating for everyone. The defense plays their hearts out, gets the ball back in great positions, and the offense comes up empty. Add to that the Texans getting the ball right after halftime, and the Chargers just couldn't recover. Mentally, they were checked out. This wasn't the team we saw last week or throughout the season. Now let's talk about the Texans' offense, especially Nico Collins. Collins was wide open all game. The Texans ran quick routes with ease, and when they started to stretch the field, the Chargers still couldn't stop them. Was it the game plan? Maybe. But I'd say the Chargers' defense just played too soft. The middle of the field was a free pass, and there wasn't enough challenge from the secondary. And then there's the 3rd and 16 play. This was the play of the game. A broken play, a fumble, and somehow the Texans converted it. That flipped the field, flipped the momentum, and if the Chargers had stopped it, they'd be in prime position to score before halftime. Instead, it completely unraveled from there. Now, I know a lot of people are pointing fingers at Justin Herbert and Greg Roman. Look, Herbert didn't play well. It was far from his best game. But to put all the blame on him, that's not the full picture. Roman's game plan wasn't clicking either, and when you have an offensive line that struggles in protection and a lack of reliable weapons outside of Ladd McConkey, this is what happens. The reality is simple. The Chargers were exposed against a team with strong corners, a relentless front, and a balanced game plan. When the fundamentals break down, it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is. Everything falls apart. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Was this more about the Texans' dominance, or did the Chargers shoot themselves in the foot? Stick around for the next segment, where we'll break down what this loss means for the Chargers' future and what needs to change this offseason. Okay, let's get into the heart of the issue here. Justin Herbert and this offense. The idea with Herbert has always been to build a system that makes things easier for him, but this game, it was the opposite. He didn't have the help he needed, and it showed. This performance wasn't just about Herbert having a bad day. It was about how far this team still is from competing at the highest level. Sure, you can point fingers at Greg Roman's game plan, but at the end of the day, no strategy works if the players don't show up. Herbert struggled. Will Dissly dropped 2 crucial passes, one of which led to an interception. Quentin Johnston had a big drop on a shallow route that should have been an easy first down. These moments add up and they make any game plan useless. Statistically, Herbert has had one of the highest average depths of target this season, which tells you he's been asked to stretch the field. But in this game, the Texans completely stifled that. Outside of Ladd McConkey, there was no receiver creating opportunities. McConkey did his part. He had 9 catches for 197 yards and a touchdown. But you can't win with just one guy. And let's talk about the running game, or lack of it. It's been the same story all season. If J.K. Dobbins or Gus Edwards can't get going, the offense stalls. The Texans exposed this weakness, and it goes back to the offensive line. Jim Harbaugh's system has always been built on a physical power run game. Look at his past teams, whether it was at Stanford or with the 49ers, those lines were dominant. This Chargers offensive line isn't there yet. And until they fix that, the offense will struggle. Now, what happened to Quentin Johnston? He had a huge game last week. 13 catches, 186 yards. But today, nothing. This guy feeds off confidence, and when he loses it, It shows. There was absolutely the lack of a quick passing game. This offense relies on play action and deep shots, but when the line can't hold up, they don't. Now let's talk about a recurring theme for this team: inconsistency. All season long, we've seen the Chargers abandon things that work mid-game. Whether it's a quick passing game or sticking with what's effective, it's been the same story. Try something, see results, then move on from it. Greg Roman has to take some accountability for that. At the same time, though, the players didn't show up today. Take Will Dissly, for example. He was good all season for being a solid blocking tight end with reliable hands. But today, he was just a blocking tight end. The drops were costly, routine plays that turned into potential 14-point swings. There was a drop on 2nd and 19 that should have been a first down, and then another that led to a near pick six. Plays like that, they kill momentum, and they play an average NFL tight end has to make every time. At one point, Justin Herbert went 1 for 9 passing. That's just not something we see from him. It was uncharacteristic, and it goes back to the game plan. If your quarterback is struggling, you have to find ways to get him into a rhythm: quick passes, simple completions, anything to break the drought. That didn't happen. Instead, the offense stalled, and Herbert finished 14 of 32. To be clear, Herbert didn't play well. 4 interceptions say as much. But this offense's issues go way beyond him. This is a team that had 5 scoreless halves this season. They've disappeared before, and today was no different. When your offensive line struggles in protection, your receivers can't get separation, and you have no run game to fall back on, it's a disaster. And that's exactly what we saw. Now, the season is over, and yes, it's tough to end like this. The playoffs are cruel like that. But here's the good news. This was year 1 under Jim Harbaugh. After the game, he called this his favorite team he's ever coached. That says a lot about the foundation being built. Harbaugh's excitement about the Chargers and the organization speaks volumes. This is just the start. It's only going up from here. Now, about the changes. The offensive line needs work, and Trey Pipkins? He won't be back next year, and this is just a quick rundown of why changes are coming. Names like Christian Fulton and Bradley Bozeman highlight the issues on the offensive line. Justin Herbert himself acknowledged it, saying, "It's tough. It's on me. I let the team down. I've got to throw the ball away." And while he's not wrong, he's still the guy you'd take any day as your starting quarterback. The bigger problem was the constant pressure. When you feel like you're always swimming upstream, it forces mistakes. Herbert wasn't getting the time or situations to settle in. Jim Harbaugh addressed this after the game, and here's where it gets interesting. He's a huge Justin Herbert fan, like shockingly enthusiastic about him. Harbaugh praised Herbert as a complete beast, but pointed out something important. A quarterback has to finish their throwing motion. That wasn't happening because Herbert was constantly under pressure. Now, looking ahead, Bradley Bozeman is a free agent, and he was visibly upset after the game. It seems clear he's gone, just like Trey Pipkins. The offensive line is going to need a major overhaul, and these changes are inevitable. Jim Harbaugh understands the importance of building a strong offensive line. He knows it's non-negotiable, and he'll do whatever it takes to make that happen. According to PFF, one potential move for the Chargers is targeting a running back in free agency. There are several solid options available, and pairing that with drafting offensive line talent is almost a guarantee. Harbaugh's history at Michigan, Stanford, and even with San Francisco shows a consistent priority on running the ball effectively, often without relying on a star-studded receiving corps. But now he does have a star receiver in Ladd McConkey, who had another big game. Still, Harbaugh's focus is clear: establish the run game. He's proven time and again that he knows how to get it done. It's not about flashy names, it's about building a system that works. So that's where things stand. The Chargers have some big questions to answer and even bigger moves to make. But with Jim Harbaugh at the helm and Justin Herbert still leading the way, there's plenty of reason for hope. Now, here's the question for you. Do the Chargers have what it takes to bounce back stronger next season, or are we looking at a longer rebuild than expected? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.